Welcome to St. Lucie Speaks, our first such event for 2024, but just 3 from completing a cycle for the full island. So we have still to go next month, St. Peter, and then in March, St. Thomas, and that would have completed all parishes. Tonight is your night to represent your issues with your MPs, the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the other members of the Cabinet who are here. Unfortunately, the Deputy Prime Minister is not well and won't be here, but the Parliamentary Secretary in that ministry, Dr. Springer, he will be here to fill in for her. My name is Roy Morris. I'm Director of Citizen Engagement and Media Relations in the Prime Minister's office. And tonight, our system is no different from what we've done in all the other parishes. At the back of the room, there's 3 gentlemen from the Prime Minister's office. If you are planning to speak tonight, go to them. They will take some basic information from you. And the order in which you've spoken to them, they will give you a number, and you come back and take one of these seats directly in front of me. Once it is your turn, you go to the mic, you speak, and then you can sit anywhere else in the audience, leaving the seats free for everyone else who wants to speak. So, you must be from St. Lucie, however. This is St. Lucie's chance to represent themselves with the Prime Minister. So, if you're not from St. Lucie, but you still have something to say, you can give the information to the crew at the back from Prime Minister's office, and they will pass it to me, and I will make contact with you within 24 hours. So we're not going to put you out, it's just that you're not going to be able to speak tonight. That is it for housekeeping. Tonight, however, we don't have as much time as we normally would, so we are going to close promptly at 9:15. If there are still persons left to speak, then you will speak to me directly and we will still hear your issues. But we have to be done by 9:15 tonight. Apologies for the late start, and without any further ado, the person who has number 1 can go to the mic.
Good night. Yeah. Good night, everybody. My name is Sheena Broom, and all right. Pardon? My address is Mount View Drive, St. Lucie. I have just a suggestion. Let me start first, but I'm very passionate with the PTA. I'm fully involved in the PTA. I would like something done by the Ministry of Education that is inclusive of the northern schools, whereby you can have the executive committees coming together and discussing the issues, the matters at hand, so that we can move away from just having the schools themselves come up with solutions to things that needs to be solved, and help to break down on the transference of students from schools to schools, and yet still the problems are transferring with them. That's my first point. The next thing is, I have a daughter. She has a condition. It's not categorized as special needs. The schools are supposed to be incorporating children like her, and I find that her capacity to learn is not like others. She's a bit behind. She has hearing issues, she has speech delay. Now she's in class with children who are working at different levels. I want to know if something, and I would like for something to be put in place for children like her, who cannot be transferred to a special needs school because they're not categorized as having special needs. Because she can still, she can still speak at a certain degree, she can still communicate, but her learning capacity is not like those of the average child. Something needs to be put in place, because then they're left behind, because it's going to be hard on the teacher to move slow and still fast. She needs to move, or they need to move at a pace that is conducive to all of the children. So it just and every school does not have a special needs unit. So I need something to be done in that area for the schools in St. Lucie and for the greatermost Barbados. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brooms. You don't have to move, I can talk with you. I don't want to talk behind your back. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone in St. Lucie. It is good to be back here. It is cold again. And I suppose January and St. Lucie and cold will always be a thing for a while at least. But thank you for opening the baton this evening. And thank you for your concerns with respect to education and also with respect to your child. As you would have seen a couple weeks ago, we're starting back the hearing, speech, and sight project with the Rotary Club, with the Ministry of Education, and with the Steinbach Trust in order to be able to see that we can get as many people tested. When I was Minister of Education, we were testing 7 and 9-year-olds, 3 and 5-year-olds. 7 and 9 were criterion reference tests for hearing, speech, and sight. And we were the first country in the whole of the Americas to do it. Regrettably, the program was stopped, and I'm trying to get it fully back on stream now. And we have the benefit of technology and a way to do the screening that we didn't have 30 years ago when I was minister. I want to say to you, and there's no one here at the moment, I don't think anyone from education is here yet. Right, she's out. But the reality is that there's a school, for example, where I know in the country, private, where they have people of all different abilities, and they learn and they teach accordingly. The ministry in its educational transformation program is also trying to develop individual education plans. And I'm not a pedagogical expert, so I'm not going to try to be that person for you. But what I will do for you is to ensure that someone from the Ministry of Education speaks with you and explains what is the approach and what is the philosophy and pedagogical understanding behind the approach with respect to integrating children but still having individual education plans within classes. I give you the assurance, as I give to every other Barbadian, that education transformation is top on the agenda of this government. And Christmas came and disrupted circumstances, and I've been deep in estimates, as has the Minister of Education and others, but we are now about to resume the fuller engagement again. We've had a number of consultations. There are now some dedicated consultations and specific groupings that we need to meet with before we roll out what will be the settled plan of government. I hear you clearly about also children moving from one school to another without necessarily there being a proper record of what are the issues and challenges, the strengths and weaknesses. We give children reports, but we really need to ensure that after the common entrance or anytime there's a transfer from one school to the other, that we are in a position to be able to at least allow the person who is assuming the teaching of that particular child the benefit of some knowledge so they're not starting at ground zero all of the time. So thank you for your comments. And Roy, if we can make sure that when Minister is here, that we can link Ms. Brooms and that we can get more specific responses with respect to your own particular child.
Thank you very much. Just one thing I want to know is that the Rotary Club, who actually fitted her with her hearing aids.
You see that? So the project is working.
Thankful to Mr. Steinbach.
Good to see it working. Thank you so much. Who's next?
Good evening to everybody. My name is Petrina Devonish. I live in Friendly Hall Terrace. This is the last left turn before we get to Harrison's Point. My issue this evening is the road. There's one way in and one way out of Friendly Hall Terrace, and the road is deplorable. There's also a home for the elderly at the end of that road. I'm not sure what's going to happen if one of those people are sick and need to go to the hospital and not going to make it to the hospital, because by the time they get at the end of the road, that's the end of them. So I would like to know when we can address this issue of the road.
Peter, sorry? As you know, we've started dealing with the roads, and all won't be done at the same time, because if we did that, I'd be a magician, Peter would be a magician, and the Minister of Public Works and Rommel would be magicians along with the CTO. So we have to start and prioritize. But I have no doubt that if it is as bad as you say it is, and I've not seen it, that it will be dealt with urgently. I announced at the beginning of the year a $30 million mill and pave program. And the reality is that, and I want the country to internalize this, because we actually spoke about some of these issues actually a year ago here in St. Lucie. The climate crisis is real. In this parish, you have seen flooding just below there that you never saw in decades, not true? We've seen bridges also affected. One of the issues it means, as one of the consequences, is that it means that we cannot and have not been able to have as much work done consistently, particularly from the end of August to early December. It is as a result of that, I've said to the Ministry of Public Works, they may have to do some double shifts in the dry season. Now, technically speaking, that's where we're supposed to be. But guess what? Every day the rain falls down there. Every day this week, what happened?
Rain, yeah.
You understand? So you understand the challenges. So suffice it to say, Peter is reminding me, I can let him talk for himself, that this is one of the roads that he has submitted. So you're in good shape, but talk, Peter.
But I would like for you to traverse it though, please. You can follow me home tonight and you can get a feel for the road. You can follow me home.
Even if not tonight, you can come.
Please, I'm going to remind him to remind you to come.
I know the road to Harrison's Point, obviously. But as to going into Friendly Hall, I haven't been, but I'll come.
Okay.
Okay? And I appreciate your bringing it to our attention. But as I said, suffice it to say, I've told them, make hay while the sun shines.
I understand.
And between now and August, as much as possible, whatever we get from September to December is gravy. And we'll keep trying. But the government is fully on it. I also want to say, look, we've gone through a rough period as a country. But we're now about, effectively, I think it's 11 quarters now of economic growth consistently. And therefore, the government is in a position to start flexing a little more with respect to some of the things that were either exacerbated because of the COVID pandemic or exacerbated because we also, remember, inherited a very, very bad hand. And it took a while, just like if you go into a surgery, an operation was happening, you got to take a little time before you start to recuperate, and then before you start to do a little physiotherapy, and then before you start to do a little walking and exercising in a consistent way. Okay. So the country is no different. So we're getting to that point where I hope we can be a little more aggressive than we have been with respect to the scale of the road works, but we have to be mindful of the climate issues. Peter?
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good evening, one and all. Good evening, my constituents. Yes, we know what the issues are, Katrina. I have traveled that road before, and it is not a long.
Recently,
it's gone worse. It is not a long road.
Exactly. So it will take little time to fix.
Right, and that is where, yeah, but resources nonetheless. But I have submitted that as part of one of the projects in St. Lucie, and I'm assured that it will be done. But as I say to you, and as the Prime Minister, we can't do everything all one time. But I'm fully aware of the area that you're talking about, and I will continue to work to ensure that it is done, because it is not really a long stretch.
I'm glad that you're focusing on that part. It's very, very short. Half a day, 3 hours, and it's fixed.
You're correct.
We're coming.
Okay, thank you very much.
Who's next?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shernell Clark, born and bred in St. Lucie. I currently work here at the Daryll Jordan Secondary School as the guidance counselor for the past 5 years. And what peeves me is the water. We know we're going to hear a lot about the water this evening. But my concern is that on a regular basis, where I live, I live in Friendly Hall, St. Lucie as well. So I have her concerns as well. Yes. So, but my main concern is the water quality, yes, and the fact that I have to get the principal or one of my colleagues who lives elsewhere to collect bottles, the big bottles of water to keep in the fridge in my office so that the children can have some clean water to drink. Obviously, that cannot service the whole school. So my concern is that if we could get a tanker coming to the school on a daily basis so that we can get proper drinking water for the children, because some of them still have to.
Easy fix. I believe what authority, you have a number of trucks up on the hill that the government bought in 2021 that are there, and we have to make sure that the school has the tank or tanks. I don't know. They will have to size it and scale it and recommend. But if you just talk to the gentleman to your left when the meeting is finished, I'm sure that they can help give us some advice. But Roy, you'll follow up at an official level with respect to the school and the principal, because we can't do anything behind the principal.
Correct.
But I'm sure the principal will be happy for your taking the initiative today.
Yes.
And making sure that both teachers, staff, and students all benefit. Look, this problem of brown water is a vexatious issue for all of the people of St. Lucie and parts of St. Peter, I believe. And I think there are one or two other districts in St. George, St. John, that are also facing it. And it's also really because, Rommel, you were the one who gave me the history going back of the two water companies from the 19th century. Our distribution system is 19th century, and we're in the 21st. So we're doing our best to be able to try and change it out. It's going to take time. It's going to take long after I leave this office to change out all. But we are prioritizing those that are of immediate concern. And I am now meeting, as soon as the estimates finish, I'll be having an intense session with the Water Authority so that we can begin to understand what our immediate priorities will be in terms of expanding the capacity and looking for more resources in order to be able to move at a quicker pace so that the residents of St. Lucie, St. Peter, St. George, St. John, St. Joseph residents, Daryll, I believe, are pretty much in good shape now.
Okay.
So one by one by one by one. And if you give us that time, I give you the assurance that we will get there.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for the suggestion, because you could have easily continued without making the suggestion, and the children and staff and teachers of the school would not have benefited. So
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
You're welcome. Secondly, finally, I'm sure there might be some parents who are here who are concerned about the school bus system, and that is that we have limited school buses here for the children who all come from various parts of the island, if you may. And for instance, we have one bus that has to go to the St. Lucie districts first before it comes back to collect the other children to take them to the rest of Barbados. And you can imagine that some of them will be getting home all after 6 and 7.
That's not acceptable,
Yeah.
and that is going to create its own problems. Once again, if we don't know, we can't solve. So I'm very grateful for you telling us the situation. What I would like to ask, Roy, is that between the principal and the transport board and the Ministry of Education, that you pull them together and let us see if we can get additional buses deployed down here, because it is unreasonable to ask those who have to go south to wait for buses to go around the thing. And Peter, while I accept that, I don't want your people to either have to wait either. So what this is a case is augmenting, increasing the number of buses rather than making any of the two groups wait. Is somebody here from Transport Board? Yeah?
The CEO should be here shortly. He was running behind and Linda's ill.
Okay.
But there's a matter that we are aware of. The principal called me this week
Yes.
after 6 o'clock because he was still here waiting for a bus to come for the children. So we are aware. I've spoken to the general manager as well about it.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's how we make things better. And I hope others will recognize that these kinds of suggestions is what government is looking for to help improve how we work in the interests of people. Please, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcia Miller, and I live at Maycox Terrace in St. Lucie. And I feel like I was just here yesterday, but it was actually a year ago, and I voiced my concern about overgrown lots next to my property that I had an issue with termites. I also voiced my opinion that it was promised to me to be clean on several occasions. And when I was here a year ago, I was told, give my phone number and somebody will contact me. Well, here I am again. I haven't heard from no one. No one has contacted me. No one has came to see what I'm talking about. And I just, last month, paid $2,000 to get termite treatment again. It's frustrating.
I understand. And
Very
first of all, let
frustrating.
me apologize. If I could have done it and should have done it, I would have done it. Because I believe that if we are making statements here, we have to be following up.
Yep.
And Roy, we need to find out why there was no follow-up by any of the agencies on this one.
Nobody.
But by the same token, I'm going to let the AG speak because he shared with me, and I have it here on my WhatsApp today, that which I have been waiting for a very long time. And AG, perhaps you may want to speak because hopefully it will mean that you're coming closer to the end of your woes. AG?
I hope so. It's been 12 years.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Prime Minister. I think what the Prime Minister is asking me really to speak on is the new legislative approach that we are putting on people to keep their lots clean. And it really is a public health issue. And it doesn't, I don't want to suggest that we have not always had laws dealing with it. We had public health regulations going back as far as 1969, but obviously that hasn't kept pace with modern times and modern needs. That goes back to the days when the old public health inspector used to walk around with a brass spray can. I think you might remember what that looked like. We've finally got the regulations completed. It took quite a bit of effort, quite a bit of collaboration, and also we've amended the Health Services Act. We are amending it, and therefore these two instruments together will hopefully place a greater burden on recalcitrant property owners. What we're going to be having is a fairly stiff administrative penalty that will be imposed on the landowner, and then if they don't clean up their lot, for every day that it remains in that condition, the penalty increases. So it will really be a strong incentive for individuals, otherwise they might find themselves with a fairly big bill at the end of the time. That doesn't mean that the government can't go in and remedy the situation. That is always a possibility, but obviously it wouldn't be the first resort. The first resort really would be for the owner to step in and do what they have to do. I'm pleased to say that we're going a little bit further than just dealing with lots that are overgrown. We are also, and this is one of the things that contributed to the time it's taken, we're also going to be addressing people who have derelict properties. Because you mentioned termites, and I'm sure that termites could have been, is there a building on the lot next to you?
No.
No, so it's just the termites in the trees and so on, right?
They're all over.
But it is, as you drive around Barbados, you will see a lot of derelict buildings. It's not only unsightly, but they also harbor rats, vermin.
Yeah.
They're also home for things like termites and so on. And therefore, that is going to feature in what we're doing. And perhaps the one that is most interesting of all is that we're also making it an offense to knowingly permit cow-itch to be on your land. So we had a very narrow thing from 1969. Sorry to talk for so long.
No,
but
that's
what we are putting in place is something that is modern, that covers a wider range of issues, and in many respects different issues. And the administrative penalty that is imposed is going to be added to your land tax bill. So it isn't a case where you can ignore the government. ignore the public health inspectors with their notices, and do nothing. At the end of the year, if you've not dealt with it, it is added to your land tax bill, and we provided that the same penalties and interest that are attached when you don't pay land tax will also hit you in your pocket in relation to not honoring this obligation. So I hope that this measure will promote a greater level of awareness and activism, because people are going to get hit in their pockets fairly hard if they do not attend to their properties. I know it's a bit late in your case, and like the Prime Minister, I was a little embarrassed when you said that nobody contacted you. So when the Prime Minister apologizes, an apology from the AG is secondary. But I think collaboratively, we are all embarrassed when these commitments are given, and they're given honestly and sincerely by us. Somebody dropped the ball, and I really feel your pain in that regard.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying, and that's great that they're working towards something like that. But my question is, how can we address it? Like, it's really, it's terrible. It's like 10 feet tall. So how can we address the matter now? Like, what do I do? Like, can somebody come and clean it?
I don't think any of us can tell you. What we can do is ask Peter, can you go and see? And then we'll determine which ministry, if any, or what kind of solution there can be. But I don't want to tell you off the top of my head, because I'll be telling you something just for the sake of it.
No, don't.
So and I ain't going to do that. I think you know me well enough to know that I ain't going to do that.
No, and
So,
I don't like false promises.
Exactly.
So don't tell
I don't
me.
like false promises. I don't like fobbing off.
No.
So,
Well, Peter know where it is. He's
but
been
Peter-
there before.
yeah,
So
Peter will come.
hopefully somebody will show up.
Peter, you'll go in the next few days and then report back to Roy. And Roy, where's Roy? We'll take it from there. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
Miller.
you.
And thank you for having the courage to come and tell us as it is.
Oh, I will.
Thank you.
Ready? Okay, thanks. Good evening, all. I just want to bring 2 points. Oh, sorry. Carlos Bignall, Arches Road, Crabhill, St. Lucie. I just want to bring 2 points for your consideration, following on my previous constituent in the area as it relates to health and safety, and draw to your attention the stretch of road from the police station to perhaps the 4 Cross at Swampy Town, and the clearing of the verge, and I'll say of the trees, not bushes, trees that have grown and make the road somewhat impassable. Sometimes you have to drive in the middle of the road, traversing that stretch. So that's number one. And number two, yes, please. And number two, the origin, well, it starts outside of the constituency. It impacts everyone in the north. And that point is the stoplights at Royal Westmoreland. Yeah? It takes about, before the stoplights, half an hour commute from Mile and a Quarter to Warren's. Sorry?
I just learned it.
Oh, you did?
Coming in, because with the stoplights.
Thank you.
And the others in the car with me complaining.
So that's 30 minutes, Warren's to Mile and a Quarter, 14 kilometers. It now takes about 20 to 25 minutes to travel 4 kilometers. From wherever the point is, when you butt the traffic, whether it's Black Bess, whether it's the Wim Junction, 4 kilometers from that point to the stoplights, it takes about 20 to 25 minutes.
And the situation has gotten worse since the stoplights.
Definitely.
So that's
Definitely.
what I want. And this is the people's knowledge. Who's here from MTW? Mrs. Canterbury? Mr. Boyne? You're hearing? And Rommel? You're hearing? Good. And I felt it.
So this is the one case I'll actually use this argument against St. Lucie. It's often debunked that St. Lucie is either at the top or the bottom. In this case, we're at the back. So it's going to take longer coming from the back to get to that direction. So I'm hoping that that's on your radar, and thanks for hearing me out.
Okay, I think Mr. Bowen or Rommel, who wants to speak? Well, I think we're going to have to do a review. I think you told me that the traffic counter, come, Mr. Bowen, traffic counter issues don't take as long as we think.
Yeah, we are aware of the issue relative to the congestion that's being caused at that location, but we always must look back at the history of the junction, where there were numerous fatal accidents at that junction, and the traffic signals were mainly placed there to mitigate the fatalities that were occurring at that junction. But we will continue to look at the timing and the phasing.
That's not the only solution, is it?
No, it's not.
Because Barbados became the land of roundabouts for another reason, not true?
That is true. That is true. That is true. But you see, at the time, it was a matter of the capacity of the junction itself. We would have to acquire properties and so forth.
As
and
I
that
tell
will
my
take,
cabinet every day, difficult is never impossible. Challenging is never impossible. So I've heard the people here. I think that everybody echoed, including Rommel, you too just now, and Roy is echoing. So please, let us get a review. Government is here to solve problems, and right now a lot of people live in the north. A lot of people depend on Highway 2A. But we're also going to have another conversation, Mr. Boyne, and what is that? How many cars are there in Barbados now?
well over 100,000.
No, Mr. Boyne, you're being too generous. And two things, when I met with you all last week, when we were looking at car parks, you all told me, what, 140,000, didn't you? William, that's what they told us? Mm-hmm. When I came into public life 30 years ago, we were told at the time that there were about 80,000 cars. So it means, and I'd like you to get the figures for us and put it on the table for us formally. I know that your minister is trying to have a major change in, what's the plan called? Barbados in Motion, BIM in Motion?
Yes.
And starting to look at the traffic issues and the road issues and a combination of how we, one, build more car parks to facilitate more public transport, increase and augment public transport. I think people can agree that the electric buses that everybody was so nervous about that have the air conditioner and the Wi-Fi have worked well and for the most part are in good shape. And we're going to have a serious conversation as a nation about the issue of traffic, because it is no sense having a car if when you have the car, you can't get to where you want to go on a small island. And therefore, there will be multiple solutions, and there will probably have to be a major set of engagements throughout this year that the Deputy Prime Minister will lead to begin to get to the bottom of how best we can do it. It is true, I think, that Barbados, they say, has more roads per square kilometer than any other country in the world in terms of road density. And that came really from the many cart roads and different ways of connecting that we had with the plantation system. And the fact that this country was the jewel of the British Empire in the 17th and 18th century. And therefore, they pumped a lot of resources in it in order for it to produce and for our ancestors to produce for them. The reality is that we have now to come to grips with a modern Barbados. And we have to come to grips with everything else that goes with it, including the reality that fossil fuel, as currently structured, will also continue to make your life here in St. Lucie and our lives in Barbados and the rest of the world difficult, because the climate crisis is real and we feel it now. So I thank you, sir, for raising it, but don't move Mr. Boyne, because who is it that's responsible for keeping the verges clean? Because not only here in St. Lucie, I've noticed that there are a number of other parishes in the country, St. John, in parts of St. Philip, I don't see it so much in St. Joseph Dale, parts of St. George, that we are seeing bush, and it's largely because if you don't have plantations functioning in the way that they used to years or decades ago, it means that a lot of bush comes into the road, and that is why we are adamant that we need a maintenance system that is driven by entrepreneurs from the community who help us keep those roads clear. because not only is it risk to public safety and cars, but it is a risk for public safety for those who are walking or who may be standing at bus stops. So can you tell us whether it is you or NCC, but I suspect it is you,
Well,
between Crab Hill and Swampy Town?
Yeah, we are responsible for the verges, and we definitely will address that issue in short order.
So that's Chance Hall Depot.
Yes.
So, Mr. Patrick, that's you, Wendell? Who it is? So NCC and MTW working together. So I'm not going to get in between the two of you. But suffice it to say that please let the residents of St. Lucie not only get it clean, but keep it clean. And let us look across the parish to see where also this risk to public health and public safety exists. Okay? Thank you. And that's why the drone unit, Senior Minister Duguid, is critical, and we need to get that operational as a matter of urgency so that we don't need to send out people in cars with gas to know what are the areas that the workers must be deployed to on a regular basis. Thank you, Mr. Boyne.
All right, thanks.
And Mr. Bignall, where are you gone? Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
One second, please. Before the speaker addresses, just a reminder, if you are planning to speak, go to the table over in the corner and give your information to the gentleman from the Prime Minister's office. There's certain basic information they need from you, and then you can come take a seat in the middle.
Yes. Good night, everyone. And yeah. Yes, sir. Good night, everyone. I am Andrew Phillips. I live in Point Corner, St. Lucie. One of my issues tonight is, first of all, is the bridge, right? Well, I must say that it is nice seeing the resumption of the bridge in Point Corner, really, because a lot of persons would have been inconvenienced by, the bridge, I believe, due to the starting, stopping for whatever reason. But however, it would be a good idea, and all effort, to have it sort of continue until finish, if possible, because when it rains, persons like the eagles, the voices, the hunts, and even the greys sort of being inconvenienced, because with the amount of water that comes from the various gullies that is connected actually outside the borders of Point Corner, they connect, to form a whole, massive amount of water, almost like the sea, so to speak, right? So, as they say, I hope that, they get some sort of relief, when it is finished, right? Because even too, when it rains, too, person had to sort of stop, for a little while until the water sort of abated, right? So that is as much to say about the bridge. Right? My next issue is the reintroduction of the St. Clement's bus service. Right? We had a St. Clement's bus service a time gone by. Right? It acted as a feeder service to the normal Point Corner, Josie Hill, Point Corner, Basketball. Right? Mainly, it would cater for the mostly traveling public that live in the Coconut Hall area and the Bishop and other areas, because the normal buses do not, do not go into that area, right? Because we know we would have traveled let's say from Spokestone towards the Exchange, then Coconut Hall, Bishop, then go to Rockfield, Bell Road, on it way back, to Spokestone, right? So I will look, right, that there will be a resumption. I don't know when, right? So that that service, you can have at least certain times during the day, especially at night, in the night area, right? Because for the benefit of persons that, as I said earlier, outside the normal route that the normal buses is traveling, right? All right. The next issue, right, is dealt with the, I believe, much needed seabearing facilities up in Little Bay, right? Because I believe that beach is heavily used, right, by both local residents within the area and even residents outside the area, right? I don't know if some sort of effort can be made to have it sort of have the land acquired, because I would have drawn it to my MP's attention at time gone by, and he said that they were having some sort of challenges and so on. So I hope that, from time to time, that they will eventually be able to acquire that parcel of land to have, I believe, much needed seabathing facilities, similarly close to the one like down River Bay in St. Lucie, right? For the benefit of the persons both inside the district and out of the district, right? Yeah. My next issue now is there's a corner that is in Jersey, actually actually just the outskirts of Jersey, coming from the area of Rock Hall in St. Lucie and Charles Hall, right? We call it the Hammerbend Corner as you approach to go into the Mount View Drive area, right? There is a high sort of hill there, right, with a lot of trees and things, and to me, it's a very dangerous corner, right? I would like, right, if something can be done, right, because that corner is totally, to me, totally, totally dangerous, right? Because you have to sort of exercise great caution when you're approaching that corner, whether you're going out of Josie Hill or going into Josie Hill from the Chancellor and Rock Hall sort of area, right? So I too would like to have, if possible, have that address, right? And the next issue, no, right? I hear the talk about the diesel transport board, going totally electric, with the importation of buses, right? I believe, right, that this should be scarce for the retention and the maintenance of some of those diesel buses, right? Because when the electrical buses had to go off the road, because I would make it understand that they sort of have to have prompt service, and you really can't really make no sport with them, right? It's just like you have your house, right, and you got you have electricity, you have different gadgets and so on, right? But still, you all remember, electricity is not always on, right? And if you get your search, your candles and your smart lamp and lantern and thing, available, you should still have, sort of, you should have sort of tongue maintain to carry on with your business, even though it may be slightly affected because you would not have had the services of the electricity which we've been accustomed, in this modern times, right? Yeah.
I hear you, Mr. Phillips.
My next issue.
I'm gonna let it come to a closure because you're giving a very good set of ideas, and there are not necessarily a lot of people who are down to speak, right? So therefore, that's why I've given you as wide a berth as I'm giving you. But I'll allow you to start to wrap up in a little bit.
I am trying to wrap up.
I'm gonna make sure that all of the things answered because you're making good suggestions, and I think that the other Mr. Phillips here will be able to tell you that on some of these matters he is with you or ahead of you. Okay?
Well, if he's with me and ahead of me, well, that is fine. But I have no problem with that because, as I always believe, service to the public is what is matters because they will judge you, your performance when the time comes, Yeah.
Mr. Phillips, that is wise advice from an older brother to a younger brother.
Well, not necessarily, but to whoever is voting for whoever office, whether political or whoever, I ain't really in, that kind of, I am not really in that kind of thing, But anyhow, my last issue. Right, because I was on the verge of wrapping up, but let me hold up a little. Right, another issue: that spring garden road, right? That spring garden road. I think need to do something with that so too. Right? I don't know when, but an effort needs to be made. Right? And,
in what respect?
Respect in the sense that I don't think it was closed for a little while, but I don't know if it opened back or whatever. The road from Spring Garden Road in St. Lucie. Pardon me?
It needs to be fixed.
Yeah, at least fixed, right?
It's from River Bay to Bishops.
Right. When you go through, you pass Bishops and you go towards a place called. You pass Bishops and you pass a gentleman named house near Giant, right?
This is going towards Chance.
You make the right turn, right? You make the right turn straight down, right? You carry out there, so-called. I remember that road, the car road, right? Yeah, but I haven't been there for a while, right? But I was made to understand it actually. I was made to understand a tree actually go into the road, right? But I would like to at least have it, open, Yeah. So, anyhow, I thank you all for listening so patiently to what I have to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Let us take them one by one. I've made a careful note. You were glad to see the resumption of the construction of the bridge, I believe MTW, that we're full steam ahead again on that. Correct, Mr. Boyne? Mr. Austin, thank you. Bus service from Speightstown to St. Clements.
Yes, St. Clements bus service.
Right, and Peter, you said you had started to speak to the transport board. Is Mr. Wharton here yet? You said you started to speak, Peter?
Yes, I have had an extensive tour of all the bus routes in St. Lucie with Mr. Wharton a few months ago. There are a number of things that we've agreed on, and yes, this service is a very important one. It serviced those areas which were virtually cut off and where people had to walk long distances, the people from Coconut Hall and Rockfield and Well Road in some instances, with their bus loads, with their bikes, they would have had to, coming from the supermarket, I realized that they would have had to walk quite a bit. This was a service offered, but was abruptly stopped when governments would change in 2008. Since then, I have had meetings and we've had drive-throughs with the current CEO of the Transport Board, and an effort is made to restart that route and enhance a number of other routes across the constituency. So that point is well taken, and we're working on it to have it, if not the service in itself resumed, because we can either resume that service from Spicestown to those areas, or we can reroute the current bus which comes from Bridgetown at times through those areas. But we're not yet settled on it, but there's a work in progress that we're looking at, we're dealing with in that regard.
Thank you. And then the next thing was the land at Little Bay, where you're saying people go do sea bathing, and I believe the Island Safari things also bring the tourists
heavily
there.
use that area.
And I'm told that for the people who do the sea bathing and everybody else who comes up, that you may need a public convenience and bathrooms there. So we'll ask BTII William to look at that. In the scheme of things, I know that the National Tourism Project under the IDB will do the public conveniences in Bridgetown, but we need to have them in other critical areas where the public congregates across the country, especially in the coastal areas. The next thing was the dangerous corner. Mr. Boyne, Mr. Scanterbury, Mr. Austin, I don't know who wants to address this, but Mount View going to Josie Hill. And then as you're doing that, address Spring Garden Road as well, and the bridge. So you can just have a quick of those three response to those three things. Mr. Phillips, thank you very much for your things. And if I give you a little gas, I feel good.
But the good thing about the...
Sorry, and the last thing, the electric buses.
Yeah,
and,
I would like
and,
transport to retain some of those diesel buses.
Right. So whether it is
so they
diesel,
get
whether it's
get
diesel
to
or
where-
alternative fuel, the truth is that we accept that there will be a need not just for the electric buses, but there may, and that's why in the TAP program, it may not be Transport Board, but it may be other licensees who own bus licenses who will be using either diesel or who ultimately may be using CNG or other alternate fuels, because the world is looking at other fuels as a possible solution in addition to the electric buses. So I hear you. Don't put all your eggs in one basket is what you're basically telling us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, too.
Thank you. Scanby, I know you're a Northman, so you could talk after Mr. Boyne, too.
Yeah. All right. In terms of the hammerhead, we have to look at that. We are aware of the.
Which one is the hammerhead? Josie Hill?
The one with Pike Corner, going that S bend.
You mean the bridge?
No,
what?
no, the S bend.
Okay, the Josie Hill one.
Yeah,
That's why
that one we can have to look at. We have to look at that and try to improve that and reduce the cornering in the S bend so as to make it easier to navigate. Spring Garden Road, we are, as Mrs. Canterbury was now telling me that we are currently assessing that road to determine how we're going to address it. It needs major reconstruction, not just simple mill and pave. So it's going to take a significant effort on that. And Pike Corner Bridge.
That may not be in the immediate future because we need to also temper people's expectations as to what is immediate and what is medium term.
That is true.
Thank you.
All right.
Pike Corner Bridge, you were about to say how soon, how much more work we think we have there?
That one we're thinking it's going to take about another 5 months to complete, but we're pushing all the way through to get that completed this year before the rainy season.
Thank you ever so much. Who's next?
Good night, everyone. My name is Sandra Boyne, and we live in Maycott's Road, St. Lucie. Maycott's Road, not Maycott's Terrace. And we have a serious problem there with the road. This is Mr. Lindsay Boyne, he's my husband. And from the top of that road, right on to the bottom of that road, we have serious potholes. That is where the cement plant, right, quarry has all underneath there dig out. It is also very bushy.
You saying cement plant, what, with the trucks
The-
going in
no,
or what?
The quarry
quarrying?
is cut underneath that road.
Okay. I have to come and see, 'cause I'm not sure
Yes,
I quite
I would
understand
love
it.
that,
Yeah.
to come and see it.
You said, and the bush, go ahead, you continue.
Yes, and the bush is on both sides of the road. They have the road, making the road too small. The other issue is,
Where's the Virgins need cleaning again? So, Mr. Patrick, Maycox Road again.
okay. Right. So that road is one we are really, really concerned about. But then there's another issue, but I would like my husband to address that one.
Good night, everyone.
Is Lindsay Boyne?
Yes, ma'am.
Good to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you, ma'am. I hope I'm related to Boyne because he have all the answers. My wife thinks is this issue should come to this forum. I don't think so, but you have to obey your wife. As a preacher, yes. Let's just say we live in Maycox Road, but Maycox Road property is adjoined to Brownfield number 2. Yes, so we walk to Brownfield number 2 to get to Maycox Village. So therefore, there's 2 villages that we happen, her family's property happen to sandwich between the Brownfield and Maycox properties. Our property where we live runs from Maycox Village to Brownfield Road. So we use the Brownfield Road since it is a government road to move out stuff that is heavy because we cannot truck stuff from the Maycox side. So recently a young man built a fence and he blocked our property, the property which we are living on, responsible for kind of. And he said that he got permission from MPT, and I think he mentioned a Mrs. Canterbury that gave him the go-ahead. Now, hello, order please. Give me some order please, ma'am.
Yes. Order, please.
Order.
You said you're a pastor, sir?
Well, I'm a lay preacher.
I'm obeying you. Order, please.
Yes, ma'am. So said. So my understanding of the road and the issue, the government put in the road a couple of years ago under the Roy Buffett time, who is my very good friend, and I work for him very hard in the political side this side. I remember Mr. Phillips, Lyman Phillips, we were all BLPs when it was unpopular to be a BLP in St. Lucie. So the road that was constructed came and sandwiched or kissed our property. With the expectation some other time, it will go all the way around and connect to Maycox Village, Maycox Road. So we believe over the years, the government property has come and kissed our property. So there's no other room between our property and the end of the government road. The guy erected the fence across to the back of the road, to the end, the curb of the road, and kind of block our property out. But he had put a fence on his property, which I have no problem at all with because that's his right. So I was trying to get some help with the suggested my wife to find out what is the position. Why should this guy be able to put a fence like that? I was unfortunately calling Mr. Phillips, this is Peter Phillips now, a little while, and no return to my call. Which I thought was not nice at all. Being a handsome, good-looking St. Lucie man over the years. Listen, when you see my number, she give me back a call. So my only reason for talking here tonight is one, yes, to get it sorted out. I don't think it's fair to build the fence on the government property because it's more on the road to my mind. He is adamant that where the road is belongs to him. When the police came, I tried to explain to the police, because I worked in road construction for 10 or 15 years, And I had the privilege to peep at this same property, this road when it was under construction, but we never win the bid. That the property has gone, the road has gone to the end of our property. Therefore, all in here is government road. The police told me he saw the people plan and his property gone all across the road. At that point, I stopped discussion because it's not good to be in opposite to police, to me, in these days. So I guess since I was not able to get Mr. Phillips on the phone, I believe I'll be able to get him tonight. So perhaps after or sometime, just explain to me.
You have all of us.
All of us.
And therefore,
Tell
I'll
us
ask the
exactly.
Attorney General to
Yes.
just address the matter pertaining to the road as best he can and to see what's happening. But I imagine that you would need a site visit.
Yes.
And let me say that I think we raise it. I think Mr. Phillips has heard you, and there'll be a site visit. Go ahead, deal.
Mr. Boyd?
Yes, sir.
Prime Minister, microphone working. Mr. Boyne, it's difficult for me to picture clearly what you are describing, and therefore, as the Prime Minister immediately recognized, a site visit would actually be more useful. I don't want to give you a view of the law unless I am actually able to see it. I will say a few things, though, generally. If the government has built a road on land, it is fairly safe to assume that we have got all of the necessary permissions to build that road. What year was the road built?
I don't remember now, but
Roughly.
yeah. I guess Mr. Braffett last tender.
Peter is saying 2007?
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Okay, so the road has been there now for
A little while.
Yeah, for 15 years.
Well, I could
or more.
explain how he got there, no, but go ahead. I will not
No,
cross
right.
you yet.
So the point is, though, that the government, as the government built the road, I don't
Yes.
think anybody at MTW is disputing that. The government
Yes,
built the road.
yes. Mhm.
So I believe that the normal practice would have obtained where they would have got permission from any landowners over which the road passed. If it had gone another foot onto yours, they would have had to sought your permission as well.
Yes, sir.
Having done that, the individual, if he did as you say he did, is completely wrong for putting a fence across the road. Okay? So I believe that MTW is in a position to go and remedy that situation.
Yes.
If the gentleman wants to challenge MTW having built that road, then there's a place for him to go and challenge it, court. But to go and say he's fencing it off is not just unneighborly, but to my mind, it is certainly the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to go any further because
Yes.
I'm happy to go and look at it, but I'm sure you have a lawyer who can also advise, because my job is to advise the government,
Yes.
MTW.
Right.
But I believe it's a matter that could be resolved. Mr. Scantlebury, does any of this rings a bell to you? You're the body who gave the man permission to put the fence.
Yes, that's the man. That's kind of yeah, man. Let me meet you, man. You're very incorrect.
Good evening, Dave Scantlebury, MTW. This really does not ring a bell. However, this is one of these cases where we would have to investigate. You'd need a composite plan for the area to determine who the landowners are, and then determine who has the right.
Yes.
So that's basically the first thing you need to do. Once you have the plan, then go on site with whoever the parties are, and then try to reach some agreement. Really and truly, that's what it would be.
Right. So you want to say something else? So I talking all right? Are you good? You good?
Yes. Yes. The person that only put the fence in front or across the road, they put 3 loads of mold right in front there so that in the government road, 3 loads of mold in the road, because it's tree.
Okay. Go ahead.
Because if the children or if the rain fall and that mold start to run, that whole road gonna be muddy. So I would be so much be glad if someone can come. He might not be home, but I sure will wait until that person. I work here at this school, and the place is not very far, and I will sure wait till some person come and look at the situation. Your mic. It's here.
Is this something that you can send somebody to look at fairly quickly during during the course of the next few days? Mr. Boyne, from one Boyne to the other, all of St. Lucie heritage. So, Mr. Boyne, if you can, the MP is going to speak on it, but if you would be so kind as to have someone go and look and carry one of your lawyers, Ms. Chandler, or somebody so with you so that they can give a fairly good indication of what's happening, all right? Peter?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, AG.
I could say, okay.
Thank you, AG, and Mr. and Mrs. Bowen. You might not have been aware, but I would have visited that area. About 2 to 3 weeks ago. Spent several hours there with some of the residents at the back of Maycox Road, as well as the person who has erected. The fence was not erected then. I would have spoken to my senior minister, Dugid, and we're now in the process. I have to visit your road to see exactly how we can resolve this, because it is in the hands of the lawyer of that individual. So it is not I was trying to bring an amicable settlement to the issue, but this is one of those in my view, what you would call unneighborly things that has been done, and you are absolutely right with where the road is, etc. I'm very much aware of all of that, but it is something that I am actively addressing based on the telephone calls. I might not have gotten your call, Mr. Boyne,
No, you haven't returned my call.
I certainly received calls from the others, other persons there, and I went to visit the area along with one of the members of my team about 2 weeks ago, so it is receiving some attention.
Mr. Boyne and Mrs. Boyne, just to update you on Maycox Road. We would have visited that road a few weeks ago with a team from NTW, and we identified that road as one of the roads that we will be doing under this accelerated mill and pave program.
Yes.
Now, the road is in bad shape, but we have determined that we will do it in 2 phases. The stretch is like an L-shaped road, yes?
Yes.
So right to the L, the straight stretch, we're going to do that first. That's a simple mill and pave. But we have determined that there's a water course that flows through the area, the bushy area, yes. And we have to do a drainage assessment of that area before we can commence work on that, because we may very well have to do some drainage enhancement work in that area. But the area where I think most of the the residents of that community live, that straight stretch will be done in short order under the mill and pave program. Yes. You should see that happening within at the rate that we're moving at, maybe within a few days.
Okay, praise the Lord.
But at the very worst, within a few weeks.
Yes. I guess you remember, in terms of your doing roads and you're milling the roads my side, I have 15 years experience in road construction.
Thank you.
As opposed to all right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And once I have the mic in my hand until the next person come forward, you will notice that we have chosen certain roads within the St. Lucie area. And I know that you would have spoken of your Friendly Hall Road, but these roads that we've chosen are roads that are what we consider easy fixes. They're very easy. They don't require any drainage work, any masonry work, any trenching, anything like that. So they're a very simple removal of the asphalt and repaving. We have to assess the roads because in St. Lucie, there's the added concern of main replacement because you have the discolored water issue. So we have to do our assessment both for NTW and BWA to ascertain whether those roads will soon be the remains in those roads will soon be replaced. We don't want a situation where we pave a road and within a short time that road has to be dug up or broken up because there's a main underneath there that needs to be replaced. So all those things come into consideration when we are choosing roads. That's why certain roads may not necessarily be addressed in this initial stage, but they are on our list of roads to look at. Just wanted to share that.
Good night, panel. Good night, fellow parishioners. I'm Stephen Miller, retired fire officer. And I'm very concerned.
Where do you live, sir?
Sorry? Round Rock, near Lowlands, St. Lucie, BB 27125. That's the address I was given. Round Rock, near Lowlands, St. Lucie, BB, Bravo, Bravo, 27125. I continue, as with most of us, to suffer.
You have to speak into the mic, though. If not, we might suffer not being able to hear you.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rusty pipes. And I have to pay my utility bill every month. Thankfully, I've developed a relationship with the guys on the trucks, and at times I am facilitated. But I believe having to pay for a service, I should be receiving what I'm paid for. Also, there's no bus from the terminal, Cheapside, after 1 o'clock. It costs me 2 bus fares. I'm retired, but I'm not receiving that benefit. I have to pay 2 buses to get home. So after 1 p.m., Cheapside, there's no Pike Corner bus. I'm also annoyed about the response time it takes. As I said, I'm a retired fire officer. It takes to get from Arch Hall to St. Lucie. No less than 40 minutes. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to improvements in these areas. Also on my agenda is the channel between Six Mines and Colleton, where the trees hang over the road, and it looks as though the 2 sides are becoming closer. There is evidence on the wall of either a bus or a truck having to touch the side of the wall. So I'm asking authorities to look into these areas.
Thank you. Let me help you one by one. With the Water Authority and the rusty pipes, I've addressed that, and hopefully, as I said, when I get my full brief from Water Authority, then I'll be in a better position to address the issues, the timelines, the costs, etc. So I give you the assurance that I will review it and get back not just to you, but to the people of St. Lucie and St. Peter, because I know that there are parts of St. Peter that are equally affected like you. With respect to the issue of the bus, no bus to Pike Corner from Cheapside after 1 p.m., I would have to ask Peter, you to follow up with the Transport Board and Roy to make sure that we can understand what is happening. We will be buying more buses, but we will be utilizing more people in the TAP program. Our big issue is to be able to get the country through the Mass Transit Authority, which is going to be critical, and working for the rationalization, therefore, of how things move. And that will probably happen, we hope, by the middle of the year. But we accept that this is a target that has to complete, we have to hit, because the truth is, when we came to office, how many buses did we have working, William, when we came to office? The numbers were minuscule. And I would say easily 3/4 of the buses were literally sitting down there. And we had to put a whole set of buses back on the road. We bought powertrains for them. We bought the electric buses. We now have, 69 electric buses, I believe. And then what we did was to take a number of the old diesel buses and other buses and to start the TAP program, which you hear persons speaking about. With respect to the timelines from Arch Hall to St. Lucie, I think part of what the others spoke about this evening addressed aspects of that. And we really need, as we heard with Mr. Bowen, to be able to review what are some of the other options beside the traffic lights, because the clear echo coming from the audience was that these traffic lights have made things worse and not better with respect to the traffic there. You can, I suspect you want to defend territory, but even if you seek to defend territory, we need an examination because we have to listen to the people. And then on the matter of the channel between Sixmens and Colleton, Mr. Patrick and NCC, I assume that that will be all. Clearly, what has happened is that the rain has meant that trees and foliage and bush have grown at a much faster rate than you have been able to clean. But you're going to have to adjust, and we're going to have different modalities, because these are legitimate concerns that can lead to either the impairment of people's lives or to the loss of limb or to the loss of time at very worst and loss of money. So I thank you, Mr. Miller, for raising these issues, and I allow Dr. Duguid, Senior Minister, to speak on this other issue of the traffic lights. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I wanted to speak on the matter of the lights, because unfortunately I was the minister, the person at the time that we decided to put the lights there. And Mr. Bowen will remember very carefully, it had significant number of people, fatal accidents at that corner. Because although the lights have, at that junction, but although the lights do impede those going on the straight, what it does is it benefits the people coming from the St. Silas and the other junction, especially when trying to make a right turn, because the people in that area suffered badly. But what has to be done, because you see the difference between the roundabout and the lights, is with lights you can change the timing. And when the population numbers change, it means that you change the timing to suit. In fact, in the UK, that has roundabouts all over the place, now they're actually putting traffic lights in roundabouts, because roundabouts have shown, because of the traffic and the changes in populations, you can't really redesign a roundabout as populations change, but lights you can do. So, and also when we had the town hall meeting and discussed it with the residents, all of the residents of the area said they much prefer the lights to having the roundabout. So.
We're not talking about the residents of the area, we're talking about the residents of the north. And therefore, I take your point, and the Chief Technical Officer will look at that, but please let us not lose context, because it is in fact the people of the north in St. Peter and St. Lucie who are saying that while you have made it easier for people to come down the hill from Waterhall and turn left, that 90% of the traffic has been backed up because of this. So, well, I don't know if it's timing or not. That's for the technical officials now to advise us. But the point is that we have a problem, and you need to be able to respond to us. And I take Dr. Duguid's point about the fatal accidents, and Mr. Bowen, you referred to it as well. And that is the bigger issue, because it is a four-cross, Although I find it very strange that people will seek to come up or down because it's not a flat four-cross. It's actually a four-cross on a gradient. And that usually will mean that people are more cautious. But I take the point on that. But we have a problem, nevertheless. Who's next, please? Sorry, Peter, you wanted to speak on the channel between Sixmans and Colleton.
The channel between Sixmans and Colleton is one that has occupied my attention, and I travel that road on a regular basis. And yes, that channel at midday, because of the overhanging bush, is very dark. But what you may or may not recognize is that there are electrical wires between that bush. And therefore, we have to enter into discussion with the Barbados Light and Power, because any and everybody can go and cut that. Light and Power has special teams to do that, and therefore we would have to have the bush, the overhanging bush, cut so that the natural light comes in, and therefore you are able to, it is much better for motorists and pedestrians as well, because someone could be walking and sometimes it's so dark you could accidentally strike them. So that matter is being looked at, Mr. Miller. I assure you that.
Sir.
Good night to everyone. My name is Daryll of Montview Drive, St. Lucie.
On Atwell, Montview Drive?
St. Lucie, yes.
Thank you, sir. Continue.
Yes. I'm going to deal with the issue of fire, people burning. Now, I have a respiratory problem. Even the doctors at the hospital don't even understand what it really is. And there's times that I will be talking right now and suddenly they can't talk anymore. And there are now persons to the east of me in Upper Montview and lower part of Jules Hill that does a lot of burning. I would have gone to some of these persons and indicate to them that it's unlawful to burn as I understand, but still they continue. There's one lady that used to burn at 3 o'clock in the morning. I went to her and I found her burning. I asked her if she understand that you should not burn. She said she didn't know. And there's some person, and sometimes what they burn is very awful. And the scent is in the atmosphere for sometimes 5-6 hours or more. They call me the fire police because I have talked to a number of persons concerned this matter, because there's times I am affected very serious. One Saturday, I sat in my home and I hear that scent for so long. I went and worked on the Sunday and almost dropped down. I had some terrible bad feelings. So I called the fire service and talked to 2 persons, and I didn't get no proper answer. And what they said to me that they would give persons permission to burn, and I asked them, do you check in the area to find out if that smoke going to affect any person down the line? Find out? And they said no. I said, how then can you give a permit for some person to burn and you don't check to see who it's going to affect? I tried to get contact with the chief fire officer to no avail. And I am tired of it. Even here recently, in recent times, there's some person that burns around 7. Around 7 o'clock, you smell smoke, and then you can smell that smoke till 11 o'clock at night and so on. And you got to be in your house where you should be resting, and you can't have a proper sleep. My wife are sometimes in even more trouble than me at sometimes. So I would like this issue addressed.
Mr. Atwell, I feel for you, because I too can't deal with smoke, burning of stuff and that kind of thing. And the fact that you are further compromised as a result of respiratory problems is truly unfortunate that you have to stand up here and make this case. I'm going to ask the AG to speak about the nuisance part, but you're absolutely correct, and I will ask that the Minister of Home Affairs take note, please, and to speak to the fire service, that really and truly, before giving permission, they should in fact ask questions in the immediate area or in the area where the wind will carry the smoke, because more and more people are affected with respiratory problems today, and therefore it is the considerate thing to do. I put it as simple as that. In addition, a lot of things that we used to do in the past we don't necessarily need to do, and it may well be that those households that need help can speak to the Sanitation Services Authority to be able to assist rather than taking it on themselves to do the burning. So AG, you may want to speak about the nuisance part and the route in there. Thank you.
Just 1 minute, please, before you can. There's a fire officer. He's my cousin that lives to the east of me. He does backyard slaughtering. And he burns his fire from, it burned from 7, the last time he did that, from 7 around 7 p.m., almost the whole next day. He and I had a serious conversation. Now, I'm going to say here, Frank, thank you, Prime Minister. When you was AG, you expunged all my convictions. I don't want to get in trouble.
No, please, don't even try. Don't worry about that.
They call me a bad man.
No,
I'm not a bad man.
No
I was
problem.
abused as a child. Very serious abuse. And therefore, I don't want to get in trouble anymore.
Please don't. Please don't.
Because sometimes I felt that I would have taken him and rip him apart. Because you see, he's going to continue to do it.
No, you ain't going to do it. And look, the AG is going to speak to you about nuisance, and we're also going to speak to you all of you, about the police keeping order in communities. Because I've also been speaking and saying, look, it's not only to fight crime, but we got to keep order in communities. And whatever it takes to keep order and to recognize that people have to be more considerate of each other's rights, we need to do it, not just at the level of the police, who must do it, but also at the level of all of us as neighbors, good neighbors. And the Bible speaks to it very clearly. Dale?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what is happening with you is an area of law called nuisance. It's not so straightforward because the law requires that we all live in a society, in a community, and that occasional nuisances are things that we will always have to tolerate. So a neighbor who has a party once a year, that's probably reasonable. If somebody does something that may affect you, it isn't always that you can call it actionable and get a legal remedy. It is largely going to be a matter of degree. Now, St. Lucie is not, the concept of nuisance is not unknown to St. Lucie. You all know the Arawak cement plant. In that case, it wasn't an odor, but it was the dust emanating from the chimney when they burnt the, whatever it is they burnt, I think the limestone or something like that. And that dust used to blanket homes all across that area there near Fariswell and so on. Unfortunately, the residents in that case lost, because the court was not satisfied that the extent of the annoyance was sufficient to allow the court to award damages. So the point I want to make is that there's no guarantee that because it is a nuisance to you, because it troubles you, that you will get a satisfactory remedy in the court. But the point is that is really not necessarily a matter for government per se. It is generally a matter to be resolved in the courts. However, I can say to you that one of the things that we have had, that has been lacking in Barbados for generations, has been environmental protection legislation. And in a recent Parish Speaks, the minister responsible for the environment gave his commitment that his ministry was going to be looking at environmental protection legislation, because it's not just you. In your case, it might be you're asthmatic, but other people may be affected by it in ways that you might not realize. I empathize with you greatly because where I live is less than 100 meters away from a quarry. And because of illegal dumping, that quarry started to burn. And the PM knows well what I'm talking about. And the fumes, the noxious vapors from that quarry affected people for miles around, not just the immediate influence, but for miles around, made many of them very ill. And the government at that point had to step in. So it is important that environmental legislation, environmental protection legislation comes, because through that we will be able to, one, police the extent of the problem, and then require individuals to either stop or mitigate. Now, I am a country boy. I know what killing pigs is like. My grandfather used to kill pigs, and for me that was the most exciting time in the world. And we know that they got the 60-gallon drum full of water, and they got a fire. But I'm surprised that it would be to that extent, because normally it's just that one contained fire heating that amount of water. But if he's doing it commercially, then he's going to have to, it would be better for him to find an alternative method of doing it. So be mindful that in our society there are going to be things that affect us. You're not always going to be able to make a claim. But the question will be the degree to which you're affected by it. And a person can say, it doesn't bother Ramel, but it bothers you, so you have to put up with it. The law says you take a person as you find them. If you're asthmatic, the law has to recognize that you are at a sensitive state, and therefore you're entitled to relief. I know that's been a bit of a long and complex explanation, but if there are 2 takeaways or 3 takeaways that you should leave with, one, we are all required to balance our respective interests in society. Sometimes you have to endure noise. If you live near church, you know you can go enjoy noise on Sunday mornings. So there's that balancing. But you do have a right to expect the state to step in when it begins to impact you in a negative way. And I can say to you that as a government, we will be bringing environmental protection legislation, which will not just deal with major companies polluting, it will also deal with private individuals who are polluting as well, because what that is pollution.
Well, there are persons that does this thing constantly, even though spoken to, because I send the police because the fire service told me to, anytime I got that problem, call them and then call the police. I had to send the police to a cousin of mine because I spoke to him more than one occasion, and he continued to do the same thing. Mr. Marshall, I try to keep not to get angry, because I can say this now for everybody here. I refuse to buy AK-47. They were offered to me. I refer to them. You see, these things were offered. I try to keep myself cool and keep away from all these things. So I want to live in love. I try to live in love with everybody.
I would like to know who offered you.
I try to live in love with everybody. That was many years ago. Not now. That long time ago.
So that we could take some more guns.
Long
off the
time ago,
streets.
right? So I want to live good. I like to live in love and share it with everybody. But the thing is that when it got me, even my grandchildren was in trouble. I had to call the police. And
the police responded?
They responded. I try not to get angry. Because
was the
when
police
I
able
get
to offer
angry, I
some
lose
assistance? The police were able to offer any assistance?
The police came, they spoke to him since that I haven't seen no fire come from his place.
Right,
but some of the other persons...
That's the response that we want,
Some of the other persons that are burning are doing on a regular basis, continuously, even though you talk to them. Because I can't really handle it much longer, because I am just 65, they might kill me. I didn't expect to live so long. I used to drink hard and smoke hard. I traded things since in the 90s there. So I am trying to now to enjoy my grandchildren, and these things are making me sick and uncomfortable.
I'm with you, and we at this table we empathize with you.
I treat away my can. The can is burning, I treat away. What I try to do is get rid of my stuff otherwise. And they call me the barman, but the people that call nice is still burning.
Well, Mr. Atwell, you now have the whole of Barbados telling you, keep your cool.
I keep my cool.
You understand? And once you keep your cool, your grandchildren can be around to there with you, and you can be around there with them. So I think we've tried to give you as much guidance as possible. The environmental protection legislation is critical, and that's what we're working on now. But we also have to balance, you know, Glenn Clark once said you can't change out a culture. And part and parcel of what we're doing will have to be some level of public education. So I thank you for bringing the matters before us and give you the assurance that we will work towards being able to sensitize people why they should not be burning. We will ask the fire department to make sure, fire service to make sure that before they give people permits that they at least do a consultation in the area to make sure that nobody's going to be affected, and that if they're going to be affected and the fire is unavoidable, that we warn people that they may want to leave their home at that particular time, because there may be some instances that are beyond our control. And finally, that we beg you, as I said, to keep you cool. So thank you very much, sir.
I want you to do something for me, Madam Prim. So tell Heather and Lisa, tell you want to say hello and all the best for the new year.
All right, we'll do that, Mr. Atwell. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. My name is Cheryl Rowe. I'm from Clinkett's Garden, St. Lucie. First, I want to say thank you to the Prime Minister for getting the well in front of me face, and for MPTW lately for giving us a little bit of smooth road. Anyhow, that's not my problem tonight. My problem tonight is that some heavy-duty equipment came into, well, it's not directly into Clinkett's, it's at the bottom of Clinkett's, and they cleared the waterway, which the water comes from Colleton and wherever, down go under the bridge, which is collapsing, right? And they completely moved the mold that was sending the water to the sea. And right now we have 2 pools of stagnant water that's going nowhere. And we have a mosquito dengue problem right now in this country. So we would like to know what is going to happen in that area and how soon we can get it rectified.
Thank you. Anybody from MTW can speak to this? Mr. Yearwood, thanks.
Yes, good night, everyone. The Drainage Division had, at Clinkett's, there's a bridge where you have quite a bit of sand blocking the way and holding back water upstream. And the approach was to clean the water course. I didn't visit it, but I was told, the officers are told that when they go to do these things, you have debris coming down and you have the Marine Pollution Act. And what we do, we avoid having the water course clear at level, because what comes down really is garbage and the like and going to the sea. What appeared to happen is that from the guy who visited, the officer, is that they went deeper than usual, and that the amount of debris coming down didn't fill the area, but really created the pond in the water. What we said to him is that there's sufficient sand on the seaside of the bridge we can take from there and fill in, as opposed to bring back soil to the area. Yeah?
Well, when are we going to look at it, sir?
We probably do it start week after next. Because I'm talking about, yeah.
So soon.
Yeah.
But please go and look at it before week after next. So when you go week after next, we know exactly what the fix is.
Yeah.
Because the lady's correct, Ms. Roy is correct.
Yes.
That with dengue, etc. But in the interim, Dr. Phillips, we can advise them what to do to be able to stop the stagnant water. And the typical thing is doing what? Throwing,
the guys place fish in the water.
They put fish in the water, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that will help. So, yeah, Ms. Rowe. Ms. Rowe, come to give you a hug.
She has me to kill the fish now. But you see, that's the other thing, the fish on the inside, the fish on the sea. But we really have a problem in Barbados, man. I'd love to speak to it. You have the amount of garbage and illegal dumping in watercourses. And if anyone goes close to an outfall or on the seaside to outfalls, when the deluge of water coming down, you see more pollution going to the sea. Yeah? We have to take decisions at times that persons may be aggrieved as the complainant here. But it's not done in bad faith. It's that we have to find ways. the officers attempt to estimate how much garbage is coming, how much soil is coming down, and to allow that first pond to take that initial before grass grow back. But we still have to deal with the issue of illegal dumping and particular plastics, because we hear of the problems by coastal and by the marine pollution NGOs.
All of those things, Mr. Yearwood, go and contribute to the destruction of the reefs, which then lead to salt water intrusion into the aquifers, and also deals with erosion. So this is a serious issue, and part and parcel of the corollary to the environmental protection legislation, as I said, is really changing behavior, public education, to ensure that people stop the dumping. Stop the dumping. And that's why I need people also to collect their, if you're selling coconuts or whatever, pick up the shells. And there's a business in coconut shells. Right now, the Sanitation Services Authority gets money from SPRC every year from coconut shells. So that the notion that you would leave shells on the road rather than being able to collect them and get back money from them is beyond my understanding. Yes, Ian.
Hi, good night. My name is Ian Griffith, manager of Earls Funeral Home in Half Moon Fort St. Lucie. The topic I want to raise tonight is the interpretation of the new commercial license plates. I believe with regards to registration of businesses who are registered and their uses of private vehicles. What I was told when these new commercial plates came into effect was that if you have a private vehicle registered under a business, once the vehicle is used for private uses, it would not have to have the C plates registration. That was in September, October. Now I am understanding now there's a different interpretation of that with regards that if once you have a business and you do anything with regards to the business with that vehicle, it has to be a commercially registered vehicle. So I'm just wondering if that's the case, then it would mean then probably all those companies who have private vehicles that were registered for, let's say, those persons who work and as a part of their work package have a vehicle, or directors of those companies, if they will also have to fall under that well, I can't call it new interpretation, but what I was told recently of this interpretation.
Thank you, Ian, for raising it. I'm going to ask the AG to address it. The DPM isn't here, but I'm going to ask the AG to address it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, good. Yeah, I'm aware of the issue, and I can say to you that I've addressed it with the licensing authority, and I've also written the licensing authority advising them on the way in which it should be approached. And you are correct. The fact that a vehicle is owned by a business does not mean that the vehicle is used in that business. So you or any other company can have a vehicle that is used by the director, and all they do is drive to work, pick up school the children, go to the supermarket. It's never used in the business. It really is a perk of your office. And for the longest time, we've treated those vehicles as being personal use vehicles and registered as private vehicles. You know, can you imagine that to use an example, that the CEO of First Caribbean has a nice Mercedes-Benz given to him by the company as one of the persons of his office, and they got a big C plate on it. But not just a C plate, because it also has to have a weight board paint on the side, telling you how heavy it is and how many passengers it could carry. It is that idiotic. But the licensing authority and the CLO assured me that they were taking that approach. So my understanding is that the new C plates are for vehicles used for commercial purposes.
Well, that's a ticklish part.
That may be a car, because if you give a salesman a car and he's using it, then it carries a C plate. So I don't know if there's a personal situation that you might want to discuss with me afterwards, but the correct interpretation is that notwithstanding a vehicle is owned by a business, it can still be registered as a private vehicle and not have to have a weight board and not have to carry C plates.
Well, that's the thing, because I was told recently that even if you do something for the business with that vehicle, and I'm saying that that's trivial, because I can't see that if, like in your case, if we said a CEO was given a vehicle, if the CEO is going to a meeting somewhere, wherever that meeting might be a lunch meeting, that's business. So that would mean then that pretty much every company in Barbados who have that
I
would be
think that we have to apply our hearts to wisdom. And clearly there is an interpretation issue and problem here with licensing authority.
Correct.
The Attorney General has sought to explain the intent of the bill and the legislation. And rest assured, we will deal with it. We are the government, and we've been elected to govern, and govern we shall.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. My name is Franklin Griffith, and I would like to speak about Franklin Griffith, Broomfield number 1, St. Lucie. Franklin Griffith, LYN. And I would like to speak in regards of infrastructural development with the promise of getting a road developed. Due to free holders tenantry act, the offspring of the people who worked at Broomfield Plantation was able to acquire land in Broomfield. Broomfield had a main road and 2 cat roads, well, 3 cat roads. 2 of the cat roads was since developed by Mr. Roy Braffett. There has the other one which is about 2 kilometers long that really need developing. It hurts me to see people have to walk from 2 kilometers down to the top of the road with garbage, and the waterworks have to run poly blue right down through the village for the people to get water. 99% of the times the poly blue get burst at the top of the road and the garbage is kept there. So you can imagine water, dirty garbage at the top of the gap, right on the main road. And I know that everybody that passed there can attest to that, and it more than once, and it really needs looking after. I brought up this topic so many times with so many people, and I got no help. Madam Prime Minister, I'm a fan, a real fan. And I don't think that it is so hard to get this done. I have a solution because I think about it daily. I sleep with it on my mind. Now, the top of the gap is closed, so the garbage truck can't get in. Now, there's a piece of land that has one house on it here that belongs to the cement plant. I assume that the cement plant acquired it from the plantation. All I think it requires is to cut a road from where the bus ball is now outside Brownfield down to where the track is, where that could make it past to cut off that part from that the track can't get in, and create a road for the people. If it can't happen, excavate it, give the people something solid to walk on, because when the rainfall is muddy, full of water is in the bottom.
Rest assured, not only are we going to address it, I'm going to ask Peter and the MTW people to come and visit it in the next few days with you.
No, dear by Gracie,
hold
top of the road,
give me a chance.
Sorry, ma'am.
That's all right, because I'm also going to ask, we're also looking at some new technological solutions, and I'm going to ask Rommel to speak to them, because what you're describing in Broomfield, regrettably, remains too much on our landscape. And I gave this country the assurance that we bought the first set of equipment and we started the Tenantry Road program, but I've given the country the assurance that we will address not only highways and byways, but tenantry roads where people live and where people have to come out sometimes with 2 bags, one the handbag and the next one full of shoes, because if the road wet at all, they got to come and clean out the shoes before they get to the top of the road properly. We were able to look at some technological solutions, and Rommel, you haven't even updated me yet, so you may want to update the public now as to what we're doing and what we think we're looking at, because the traffic count on those tenantry roads is obviously nowhere near the traffic count of a highway or another connecting road. Rommel?
Thank you, PM. What PM is referring to is the use of basically was a polymer-based solution where we're going to apply a polymer to the actual earth, to the indigenous material in those communities, and that earth will become solid like rock. So basically what happens is that we will go in, we would level the road, introduce this polymer, and that would harden with a surface that is similar to that of asphalt. And this is technology that we would have visited Arizona and discovered when we were over there, which is being used right across Arizona, mainly in trails and roads that do not have high frequency traffic use. Now, what this will do, it would provide a solution very quickly for those short roads that we would have started fixing under our CART program, our short roads program, where we were using that milling stuff that came off the highway. We had started with that because that was seen as a solution, a quick solution to some of those short roads that lead to persons' homes, those muddy little CART roads that you refer to. But this solution will also add to our arsenal of solutions, of approaches to roads. We have introduced technology in the area of RCC. The Deputy Prime Minister will have traveled to Texas last year and came back with this approach to roads, and you will see that being rolled out this year. And now we are looking sometime next month. We were hoping to have it here by this month. We actually have the product here in Barbados, but the persons who are the experts in the application of the product cannot be here this month. It will come next month. But so as early as February, we will see the rollout of a new approach to addressing some of the issues with those small CART roads or mud roads in rural communities like St. Lucie and right across the north of the island. And we're actually right across the island where there are these roads that exist everywhere. So rest assured, we'll be looking at your situation with a view of introducing this product.
Thank you very much. And polymer is just simply what? A liquid like a glue, right?
Yes, it's basically a binder, a glue.
So just to bind things together.
So, ma'am, as regards to the...
They can come and visit, though.
As regards to the pipe running down through there, so the people...
There are a lot of pipes, no? And therefore, when the visit come, the Water Authority come in too.
Because it's about 2 kilometers.
Yeah, so the Water Authority will come and look at it too. I have a problem also with all this blue pipe, like banjo pipes all about the country. And I think that we have to find a way, and one of the things I'm going to be discussing with the Water Authority is how best to deal with this, because for all kinds of reasons that I will not speak to here, I do not like it. Thank you.
Ma'am, ma'am.
I see you full of passion.
Ma'am.
So trust me,
the poly blues get burst every week because of the closest at the top of the road.
That is exactly why I tell you the Water Authority Bangor come.
Okay,
you understand? Because the poly blue, we don't want the poly blue bursting every week because that's a waste of government's money too. You understand? So, Mr. Halliday, we will be part of that visit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, though.
Good night, everyone. My name is Ingrid Bowen from Maycott's Terrace in St. Lucie. I've come here tonight to address the situation in the neighborhood where we have a well. It's a well that has been there now for years when the land was a plantation. And a farmer used to work the land and use the well. It's about 150 feet deep, apparently, with 20 feet of water. and there's only a piece of galvanite on top of that well. No, it's not good. So we need to have someone come and look at this well. And apparently the water is flowing. It's not stagnant, so it's flowing somewhere.
The water authority. The gentleman next to you pointed and saying that
Mr. Eiffel?
he could
Okay,
come
all right.
from
Yes.
water authority.
Yes, okay.
You know about it, no?
That's why walk. Well, that we used to use, so.
Not that we used to use.
Not the plantation
Someone-
used to use.
Yeah.
And you say
yeah.
it's still got 20 foot of water in it flowing?
It's flowing, yeah. It's
Okay.
flowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they'll come
So
soon.
we need, because there are people moving into the neighborhood who don't know about that.
And it's a risk.
And it's a risk.
Absolutely. And I
So-
thank you for your neighborliness and public spiritedness.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the people of St. Lucie for coming out tonight. This government, as I indicated, and as you heard tonight, everything we say or do will not always be pleasant. There's one other person. Ma'am?
Good
You
night.
from St. Lucie?
Yes, please.
All right, what's the name?
Ronte Johnson.
Ronte?
Yes, please.
Where are you from?
Connelltown, St. Lucie.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I come tonight to address the road in Higginson is under bare potholes, and I have to change my suspension along with the others every time you look around. You visited there during the your meeting prior, and nothing had been done to that road. I would like to know.
Okay. So what I want to do, Mr. Patrick, y'all are aware of the road in Higginson? Peter, you speak, Peter, because apparently it is so bad that we can't just mill and pave. It needs total reconstruction. Peter?
Ronte, yes, I'm aware of this. It has been submitted to MTW. It's one of the roads that I have indicated has to be redone, because you know, as I do, that the road is so bad, twisted, sidewalks, everything is wrong with it. And we know what caused some of that as well. And that is one of the priority roads that I have listed, to have it reconstructed, not mill and pave, not the fast. It has to be rebuilt.
Okay.
Because you have to put in proper drainage as well, knowing how it is up there by you when the rain falls.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. I want to thank everyone for coming out again. As I said, we're now going into our third year of Parish Speaks. And as many of you know, it's not always easy, and there are difficult issues. But as a country and as a family, if we don't confront these issues together, we will not get anywhere. So it is better that we come, both the political class and the public servants, and I want to thank those public servants who see it as part of their duty to be here, to be responsive. The country takes note, and the country does not take it for granted. If I am to speak bluntly, the only thing that I would refine by the program, and I've spoken to Roy, I think that if we start, we need to finish most nights by 9:30 as far as possible, because we are aware that some people are working, and that in those instances where people and public servants are coming to this event, if they leave work early the afternoon by 2:30, they should be allowed to leave at 2:30 if they're going to work late the night. And I think that's only fair, and I think we can put that in place, because I want the culture of responsiveness to continue in the country. When I spoke in January, I also indicated that there would be meetings and ministerial meetings that would be a separate type of meeting that would allow people to focus on the particular subject matter periodically, and that we would want to be able to do so at least twice a year, so that we would have to do them in bunches in order to be able to get across all of the different ministries. This is why we were elected, to respond to people. And I want to thank those of you who continue to believe that our democracy can work by your coming out and by your sharing and by your offering solutions and by your criticizing where necessary. Because this is what will make us stronger as a people and as a country. This parish is too cold tonight. So I wish all of you a safe and warm return to your home, and to say that I love cold weather, but I feel that you got to be prepared for it. So next time I am coming with a little winter clothes. Thank you very much.